sister and Lazarus. Please note that Jesus loved Martha, her sister, and Lazarus. So when he heard that he was sick, he stayed 2 more days in the place where he was. In other words, he delayed his coming. The scripture noted that Jesus loved Mary, Martha, and their brother Lazarus, and yet he delayed his coming. They sent him a note. The Lazarus family are friends of Jesus. Lazarus and his sisters, they are good friends. They are Jesus' buddies. They're not just like every other people that were coming to hear Jesus. They are close friends. They are his inner circle members. And so a time came when Lazarus got desperately sick. And the sisters were running helter-skelter, trying to see what they can do. And they knew their friend Jesus. You know, he was the miracle worker. They have heard about the miracles he had done. They've heard that he had healed some folks. He had delivered some folks. He even made water to turn to wine. They knew about the powerful supernatural miracle that Jesus had done. And so they knew that they got a friend in Jesus. And their friend is a miracle worker. So they sent word to him. The scripture noted that Jesus loved Lazarus and his sisters. There was a reason why it was noted. So these are his bodies. And yet, as the scripture noted, it says, when they told him in verse 6, so when he heard that Lazarus was sick, he stayed 2 more days in the place where he was. One would have thought that if Jesus, who the scripture noted loved Mary and Martha and Lazarus, was told that their friend was in a comatose, in other words, was close to death, that he would drop everything and come calling for his healing. But he delayed. Beloved, there are some of you that are listening to me that love Jesus, just like Mary and Martha, that are friends of Jesus, that are the beloved of Jesus, and are going through things. Some of you have gone through situations for months, still calling on Jesus, and he doesn't seem to be coming. Some of you have waited for years, still calling on Jesus, on that same situation, that same issue, and he's still not come through. Some of you have prayed for 7 days. Some have fasted for 21 days. Some have fasted, some have sowed seeds, are in the work of God. When he said that Jesus loved Lazarus and Mary and Martha, it means these are people that are walking, that are close to inner circle of God, of Christ himself. Some of you that are here, you are in the church, different churches. You are in the service of God. You are doing what the Father says to do. You are close friends of Jesus. You are the close friends. You are daughters of the Most High God, sons of God, the beloved of God, and yet you are crying for God to intervene in one situation or the other. And he's still waiting. It seems like he's not even around you. It's like he has packed up his stuff and moved out to a different address. And you are wondering, you are bewildered, like David. You crying, David, it got so much to David that he said, answer me quickly, oh Lord, for I am in trouble. I've heard some of you asking, calling, crying, yelling, mourning. Answer me quickly to God. Answer me, for I am in trouble. Answer me, for the landlord is on my case. Answer me, for this sickness is getting too much. Answer me, for the enemies are on my back. Answer me, for my children need to go back to school. Answer me, for I need a child. I need the fruit of the womb. Answer me. I need admission to that university. Answer me. I need to set up my business. Answer me. The immigration people are on my case. Answer me. And you're crying out to God. Answer me. I need promotion at work. Answer me. I need a job. I gotta have it. Answer me. And nothing seemed to be happening. Nothing seemed to be happening. I want us to go back to the book of Habakkuk. And you're beginning to wonder, is this God for real? I mean, there's a time when things can get so to you that you wonder. Things can get, if you don't know your God, things can get to a point where Job was. And he was crying. And nothing seemed to be happening. That was the case with the Lazaruses. They called on Jesus. Jesus told his disciples, just keep going. We got more work to do. And the disciples were even surprised. They knew that these people are his friends. Beloved, the fact that your answer has not come does not mean that God does not care. Let's listen to see what Jehovah said. What Jesus said in response. And in the book of that chapter 11, verse 8, it says, Rabbi, the disciples told him, just now the Jews tried to stone you and you are going there again, because he told them, let's go to Judea. Let's go to Judea. And so they kept going. They kept going. And in verse 11 he said this and told them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am on my way to wake him up. Beloved, Lazarus did not just, the time they called on Jesus, he was just, very sick. The time they called on Jesus, he was desperately sick. But by the time Jesus was speaking now, he had power from sickness to death. When they called on Jesus, when they sent a telegram to Jesus, saying, come help us. Come and help us, Lord Jesus. Come and help us. There was still life in Lazarus. He was still breathing a little bit. But he came to a point. At this point, Jesus told them, he said, Lazarus is dead. You can imagine the shock on the hearts of the disciples. What's wrong with Jesus? These are his friends. How could he wait? And this situation got like this. This man just died. Beloved of God, some of you that are listening to me, that have been dealing with situations, that you've been calling on God to intervene, have been listening to me, I've been calling on Jesus, and you're wondering, Jesus, when the landlord was still sending an eviction letter, I was calling on you. Nothing happened. When the rent was just a little bit low, I was calling on you. Nothing happened. Someone is saying, when this sickness was just at a place where it could be monitored, it could be put together, I've been calling, nothing happened. Somebody was asking, is calling, when this professor was giving me little signs and giving me, I've been calling, said do something, nothing happened. And the semester is almost over. And this grade is now looking like an F. Somebody is asking, when I am putting my application to get this contract. And I said, please come help me. Help me make it get through. Let it get through. Nothing happened. And now it is closed. The doors that have been selected. And I'm not one of them. You know, someone that's listening to me, that being pursued by enemies of your destiny. You say it when these enemies are pursuing and they're just on my back. I said, please come help me. Don't let them get me. Don't let them get me. Nothing happened. And now they have gotten a hold of me. They're on my case. Somebody is asking, nothing happened. Nothing happened. This situation is a comatose situation. Nothing happened. And now it has come from comatose to death. And Jesus said this Lazarus had died, you know. And you can imagine, Mary and Martha have gone from intense pressure, have gone from serious situation, have gone from panic to desperation. They have gone from desperation to downright desperation to downright hopelessness. Hopelessness. And yet, Jesus was their friend. Beloved of God, I don't know what you're going through and what the enemy is trying to feed you. Asking you, are you still friends of Jesus? You can imagine the community members, those that have seen Jesus come along to the Lazarus' residence to dine and to wine, as their friend, are looking at them and wondering, how can Jesus be their friend? They have a miracle worker as a friend, and still their brother died. That guy couldn't even come through to help him, to help their brother. Someone that's listening to me, you found yourself in a situation, and your people that know you are a friend of Jesus, they know you are a Christian, all right. They know you are prevalent in the service of God. They know that day in, day out, you are at church. They know that you are crying out, you supporting the work of God. They know that you are a child of God, and they see you in a desperate situation, a situation that have gone from bad to worse, from comatose to death, and they're asking, they're querying, they're mocking your God. They're wondering, my goodness, is she or is he not a friend of Jesus? A Christian, he calls himself, and yet look what happened to him. Beloved, God is asking me to tell you that delay is not denial. So the way Jesus said it, he said, my friend, you know, as a matter of fact, Lazarus is just, is asleep, but I'm on my way to wake him up. Remember, he said, he didn't say he died. He said he's asleep. He may look dead to you, but he's asleep. There's someone that's listening to me that God has asked me to tell that situation may look like a lost hope, but delay is not denial. It may look like it's irrecoverable, but it's only asleep. In other words, it's a temporary situation. Because if I say it, will I say it? Will I not do it? Will I make a promise and not commit to it? He said it's asleep. It does not matter how desperate it looks now. Delay is not denial. It's only delayed. In other words, Jesus is saying, I'm going over to wake Lazarus because he's only asleep. He didn't say he died. Beloved of God, whatever you think is gone is only asleep. It's only delayed. God is saying it's only delayed. That promise that haven't come through, that looks like it's already over with you, it's only delayed. Because God will not lie on his promise. It is for an appointed time. It's only delayed. That job that doesn't seem to be coming through, that now it looks like they've taken everyone else, but your application was not considered. The Lord is asking me to tell you, it's only delayed. Don't give up on it, for it is only delayed. The issue on your case immigration or any kind of legal case that it looks like it's done over with, God is saying, don't give up on it. It does not matter what kind of threats or letters you get it, it's only asleep. It's only delayed. Because I'm going to do what I promised to do in your life is only delayed. And so the Lord made his way towards Lazarus' house. You can imagine Mary and Martha. Then the disciples said to him, Lord, if he have fallen asleep, he will get well. Jesus, however, was speaking about his death. They thought he was speaking about natural sleep. So Jesus then told them plainly, Lazarus died. He has died. I'm glad that for you that I wasn't there so that you may believe. But let's go to him. When Jesus arrived, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Bethany was near Jerusalem, less than 2 miles away. Many of the Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them about their brother. As soon as Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went to meet him. But Mary remained seated. And in verse 22, he said, yet even now, it's a long chapter. But suffice it to say that Jesus eventually got to them. And Lazarus for sure was dead as cold. And the people began to gather. Mourners are gathering. Just as mourners are gathering around your own situation. Sympathizers are coming to feel sorry for you. They've watched the situation get from bad to worse, and they're beginning to come around you to sympathize. But you don't need no sympathy. You need the intervention of God. And so Mary and Martha got together and they told Jesus. Mary was like, if you had been here just a few more days when he was still breathing a little, our brother would have been saved. But Jesus was like, delay. He's not dead. He is only asleep. And delay is not denial. I would love to think that if Jesus had come earlier and had prayed for him and he had gotten well, people would have been thinking, my goodness, he was just a little sick for a couple of days and he just come. That guy, their friend came over and touched him and he got well. No big deal. But the Lord allowed the situation to get critical. Just as He's allowing your situation to get critical. I don't know what situation you've been asking God for.